Hello, welcome to The State. It is your favorite current affairs program on Christian television. On the show, we probe the issues and dig the solutions. My name is Gabriel Nii Otu Ankrah. Stay for details.
Oh yes, the solution to all your travel needs is here. 𝗟𝗩𝗡 Lodge and Travel Services offers you the opportunity to travel to the following countries: Canada, United States of America, Turkey, Dubai, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Malta, Germany, and other European countries, where skilled workers such as nurses, paramedics, nannies, and caregivers, drivers, plumbers, masons, electricians, carpenters, painters, etc. are needed for urgent employment. 𝗟𝗡𝗡 Lodge and Travel Services can secure your Schengen visas with work permits. Individuals, organizations, churches, schools can contact us for their ticketing and hotel reservation, car rental services, international tour packages, travel consultation, visa assistance, and study abroad packages to all countries. We are located at Mr. Bates Bus Stop, opposite the Calvary Baptist Church at Abaka, Accra, or contact us on these numbers: 0544 27 9525 or 0545 622 672 or 0302 237557. 𝗟𝗡𝗡 Lodge and Travel Services, your destination, our pride.
Welcome back. Let us settle for W Briefs. On W Briefs, what we do is to give you a sneak peek, an executive summary into the topic for discussion for the day. So the primary objective of any educational institution is to provide students with effective education. In pursuit of this objective, that is providing students with effective education, institutions cultivate a culture and an atmosphere in which the students ought to feel secure, supported, and appreciated. That environment must be created for the student. Simultaneously, these institutions, because their objective is to make sure that effective education is provided to the students, uphold certain principles, highly and dearly, principles of discipline and respect. And these are fundamental expectations for student conduct. No one sets up a school without these principles. Discipline in Ghanaian schools have undergone significant changes in recent years. The Ghana Education Service officially banned corporal punishment in 2017, directing schools to adopt alternative disciplinary approaches. Corporal punishment used to be there. Most Ghanaians have gone through that in shaping them. But in 2017, that directive came. Alternative disciplinary approaches should be adopted. So let's look at current disciplinary approaches that are in our public schools. The one is the positive discipline toolkits. This approach focuses on creating a supportive environment, like more behavior management that guides the conduct of the student. It has to be positive. That is the approach. Then the alternative disciplinary strategies, such as rewards and referrals to disciplinary committees, and these are highly favored, or this particular approach is favored by parents and teachers and students. And one other is suspension, which is widely accepted, is accepted by most people. So you are referred to disciplinary committee or you are suspended. These are, society expects that school children must be disciplined. By so doing, they become responsible adults. That is the expectation of society. But contrary to these expectations, there are reported cases of indiscipline in most schools, particularly in Ghana, and the rate at which it's going is alarming. In Ghana, various government policies have been implemented, all in the bid to address the indiscipline in our schools. And key among these initiatives was the introduction or the initiative of guidance and counseling in secondary schools. I nearly said almost secondary school, but it was in every secondary school. The establishment of guidance and counseling unit. More so, the Ghana Education Service has its own conduct for teachers, for students, and for head teachers, and various public and private institutions also, and including the universities. They also have their handbook of discipline for students. So it's been codified that discipline ought to be maintained in our schools. But for many, the prevalence of this school indiscipline in our schools impedes, to them, it doesn't only affect teaching and learning, but it impedes the building blocks on which society will have a sustainable development plan. Imagine students are involved in discipline acts, they are sacked from school, they drop out from school. This will affect the brain that society needs for economic growth. Also, it affects social cohesion. That is why it is worrying to many people. On the back of the foregoing, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, has issued a stern ultimatum to her employer, that is the Ghana Education Service, demanding that reforms at tackling the increasing violence in our schools are looked at immediately. NAGRAT has issued a stern warning to GES, come up with reforms to tackle indiscipline. And the association is calling for these reforms for there to be announcement of tough disciplinary powers. Give the institutions powers to discipline. And this ultimatum they have given by the 31st of May 2025. Or NAGRAT will be forced to adopt or to take its own unspecified action to ensure the safety of teachers. NAGRAT is saying if government doesn't give back power for discipline to their heads, we're going to come with our own unspecified action to protect our teachers. In the face of the growing concerns over indiscipline in our schools, we ask on this show today that what other measures can be added to existing disciplinary policies in our school to help combat indiscipline in our public schools. We will find out when I return. Stay.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in tea, you respond, yeah, addition. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Open baby up a soul bomb pie. Now nyami edi inkita home. Bibi chiro so. And I'm na the same kum. And you're coming home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer in able to do it. That is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend Hosea Osei, and the Evangelism Missionary Renewal Directorate as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends, your loved ones, every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
That each and every one of us
This is The State. It is your favorite current affairs program on Christian television. You know, we probe the issues and dig the solutions on this program. So there have been growing concerns over attacks, student attacks on teachers. And it is worrying because the school environment is supposed to be an environment where both students and teachers feel secure and protected. So if there are these incessant acts of violence and indiscipline, it calls for concern. And in recent time, the report has it that even some schools, for instance, a Christian Methodist high, where students had attacked teacher for ensuring that they abide by examination rules. Also in Accra, you remember the students attacked teacher for ensuring that they abide by the dress code. In a case recently, arms, gun found on students in school. These are worrying developments, and it has necessitated that the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRA, to issue a stern ultimatum to Ghana Education Service. Come out with reforms to tackle indiscipline in our schools. That is what we are looking at on The State today. We are looking at the attack on student attack on teachers, and we are going to dig into the growing concerns with a goal of finding out remedies to indiscipline in our schools. And we are joined we have wonderful guests on the phone and via Zoom to help you viewers to understand and follow the conversation. We are joined by Mr. 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘, NAGRA's president. Sir, good afternoon and welcome to The State.
Good afternoon.
Very, very grateful and glad to have you. We also have Nicholas Taylor, an educationist. Nicholas, welcome to The State.
Thank you very much, sir.
We're wonderful. And last but not least, we have 𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓 𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗓𝗓, also an educationist. So it's a table of teachers. We are looking at the issue of indiscipline. 𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓, welcome.
Thank you very much, Gabriel.
I'm very
much grateful that you're having me.
Great. Our viewers are excited that we have you, great men, helping us to understand the conversation. Let me start with you first off, Mr. President of NAGRAT, Mr. 𝗟𝗩𝗓𝗓. The school environment, we're expecting our students to feel safe and secure and protect, including teachers. What is the state of discipline on our campus that has made the teacher run out to come and give an ultimatum?
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. 𝗟𝗩𝗓𝗓.
Yes, you asked for indiscipline in the school.
Yes, that has warranted this call.
The complaint that the teacher raised, the numerous pages is an indication of the bad indiscipline displayed in the schools. And this situation is creating insecurity.
Yes, Mr. 𝗟𝗩𝗓𝗓, we can barely hear you. We'll work on your line and get back to you. The line is breaking, so we'll work it out and get back to you. Nicholas, Mr. Taylor, let's get to you. Mr. Nicholas, same question I asked 𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓, maybe because of where he sits as a president, but as an educationist and a teacher, why should we be concerned about the state of indiscipline in our schools now?
Thank you very much. We are concerned about indiscipline in the schools because a child who is not disciplined, it's very, very difficult to teach. And so if we want to do proper impact and we want to actually teach for the children to get what we are teaching, it's important that the children are tuned to a particular level where they are going to have that kind of respect, that attitude, that knowledge to be able to imbibe the knowledge that we are giving them. But when we have situations where the students are not that disciplined, anything you tell them, they want to do what they want, it will be difficult for any educator to impart knowledge on such students. And that is why we are concerned about the kind of indiscipline, especially when it is being perpetrated against the teachers who are imparting the knowledge. So it's very worrying. That is why NAGRAT and all other well-meaning teachers are raising the
very well
concern.
Very well. We have worked a lot. We have Mr. 𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. Do you see from the same lens?
Yes, Gabriel. What I would say is that to make the school environment a safe haven for teaching and learning, hooliganism is not supposed to be part of the scheme of things. Because after all, the individual you are teaching should have a clear mind. The person imparting the knowledge to have a clear mind and know that the environment he or she is imparting the knowledge is a safe haven. The moment the instructor, i.e. the teacher, feels unsafe in imparting knowledge, I think that that person will not be in his or her right frame of mind to be able to extend the knowledge he has to the individual. So I think that the space of having indisciplined action or attitudes in our schools, most importantly, our senior high schools, which has metamorphosed into hooliganism, is something that all stakeholders must be worried about. Because the moment the teacher feels threatened, demoralized, knowing very well that my very existence in that particular environment where I'm supposed to impact the knowledge is very hostile, and that can even lead to me becoming brutalized, or the worst, that is me dying, that person will not even be comfortable to be in that environment. So I believe that if the school environment will be very much conducive for teaching and learning, my early comment would be that hooliganism should be stamped out to make the environment very much conducive for teaching and learning.
Very well. So I would want us to center our discussion on the attacks, student attacks on teachers, because that is what has grown cause for this national discourse. So we will do well to center on that. We are privileged to have back on the line the NAGRAD president, Mr. 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘. Sir, welcome. Sorry for the technological challenge.
Yeah. I'll say a situation is developed, and we need. Let me admit that throughout history, we've had hooligans and errant students in our schools. But something checkmate is behavior. The authority of the school, that is head of school and management, to implement or apply the rules that serve as deterrents and was also preventive enough for us to get to the chaotic situation we find ourselves. Let us also admit that the numbers are now huge, and the school environment is not as it used to be some 30 or 40 years ago. This calls for a more stringent approach and a tactical approach to ensure discipline. Whereas we grant the right of every Ghanaian child the right to education, we will also state quickly that the right to life is more primary than the right to education. And if the school environment is such that people's lives are at stake, then there cannot be any good educational delivery in that environment. Take, for example, the case of the SBA student who took a gun, a loaded gun, to school and actually fired the loaded gun in the class, causing damage and a threatened permanent blindness to a classmate. What rights can we be protected when we have to take decisions in such a way that this boy will not be able to get into the school perimeter with a gun? So that is the question you need to ask. What about the teacher in Ashanti region who's lost one eye permanently for ensuring that discipline is followed through in a school? And what about the teacher at Accra High whose only crime was to ask a student to dress properly? The examples are numerous. Just this morning, I got information from University Primary Practice School, Cape Coast, that a male student really raveled and undid the hair of a female teacher. And as of now, I heard that the student was suspended. I don't know whether the student is returned to school. What else do we need to say that? And you see, the danger is not only to the teachers, but the innocent, unsuspecting students who are from well-bred homes, who are in that environment with a single purpose. And the purpose is, we went to school to learn, to be taught and to learn. They would have kids, young little girls who have left their parents for the first time in their lives. Young little boys who have left home for the first time in their lives, coming face to face with hardened hooligans. Your guess is as good as mine.
It is. It certainly is. It certainly is. And you will agree, Angel, that maybe we have had these incidents in the past, but the rate at which they are coming, and you will also admit that once upon a time, myself inclusive, when corporal punishment was there, maybe it was low as we are having them, but it has been abolished. That directive that came for more alternative or for an alternative disciplinary approaches. I am asking this because in your release you attributed a growing indiscipline to certain variables or certain things that the policies, current policies, have allowed the students to have their way. What are those attributes or those things that you lay on the doorstep for being the cause of what we are experiencing now in our schools?
Well, in the quest to achieve populism, we have decided to pretend that everyone who wrote the BEC is eligible for senior high school education. So we have even taken away the minimum entry mark and made it a wholesale admission of students. Number two, because of government bursary in the form of free education, school authorities are no longer allowed to even repeat, let alone withdraw students who are performing far below the expected threshold. So as they came in Form 1, they are all pushed to Form 2 and to Form 3 wholesale. So when a student even fails to be regular in school, does not attend classes, does not engage in academic activities, this student knows very well that nothing is going to stop him from completing that school. The third factor is the interference in school administration's quest to ensure discipline. Discipline that will not fall right with some people. They use things like political influence of traditional authorities to tweak kind of school authorities in ensuring discipline. And when the situation comes this way, the teacher has no choice than to stand aloof to protect his life and also to protect his or her job. At the end of the day, we have a disciplinary decadence in the school that is resulted to the situation you and I are discussed.
Interesting. Nick and Nishirin, I'll come to you quickly. But Mr. Kabono, let me just check with you. The ultimatum that you gave GES was by 31st May, if you don't hear anything, reforms to tackle it. Since this release came out, have you heard from your employer?
No, not yet. But from the 1st of June, we will start taking certain decisions ourselves.
Do you mind telling specified actions that you might take, or
that if I do that, it will jaundice the situation for now.
Sure.
Let us hope that the authorities themselves are minded by the situation as we are, and they will be making certain public statements to strengthen the hands of school management and authorities.
So interesting. Let me check with your colleague teachers on the line.
Can I plead with you to release me, because I have to enter a very important meeting right now?
Very well, Angel. So before you go, can you give us concluding remarks on the subject?
Well, I say that the nursery of crime could be the institutions. It behoves on all of us as Ghanaians, regardless of whichever profession you find yourself, to join hands with teachers to ensure that the school environment is serene, the school environment is producing worthwhile citizens for the development of our country. When the schools collapse, our nation will certainly collapse.
Very well, thank you very much, Mr. Angel Kabono, NAGRAT president. Viewers, that was the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, telling us his position on the release, giving Ghana Education Service ultimatum to come up with reforms to tackle indiscipline in our schools. So this is the state. We are discussing student attacks on teachers. We are digging into the growing concerns and then find out what the remedies could be so that our schools become safe haven for learning and development. And Angel has to join an equally important meeting. But we have senior educationists on as our guests on the show, helping us to really digest the issue. Nicholas Taylor is an educationist, and we have Nishirin Apia-Buidi, also an educationist. Gentlemen, forgive me for holding you on the line for a very long time, because Angel had to move. I needed to engage him further. Let me find out from you, Nicholas. Angel mentioned possible reasons why we are, or issues that might have triggered the indisciplinary acts that we have. He mentioned BEC, everybody going, mass promotion, no repetition, political interference. Do you agree? Nicholas?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, do you agree?
Hello.
Yeah, do you agree with Angel? Yeah, do you agree with Angel on the possible reasons he gave that could be contributing to the indiscipline that we have in our schools? So the basic education certificate exam, the grades have been lowered, anybody can come. There is mass promotion, no more repetition, political interference, and bureaucracy in getting rid of disruptive students. Do you share in those sentiments?
Yes, to a large extent, yes. What I would say is that there are some of the students in the schools, they are not really thinking about going to school. But it has been that because we don't have any cutoff points, because we don't have any criteria now, and because of the philosophy of the country, for every child to at least get a certificate in a secondary education, we are pushing all the children into schools. So some of them, their attention priority is not really to go and get education, but they think that it is the people are going, and therefore they are also joining the fray. And so that commitment to study is not there. That commitment to be disciplined is not there. That commitment to ensure the right thing done is not there. And so it could be part of the problems. Again, policies are normally made to regulate the actions and activities of a group of people. The GES has said that don't bring phones to school. The children are having phones in school. Teachers see them and there's a problem. And so how do we navigate through all these problems? So I believe that, yes, by and large, some of the policies that we have are contributing factors to this. But I believe that when we discuss the way forward, we will try to find out how we can ameliorate the issues that we have now so that we can have a serene environment. The teacher will feel safe to teach, the children will feel safe to learn. Then we can have a proper education system. But if we don't do that, it's going to have some kind of a situation where the children are coming to school, they are not safe because they don't know what is going to happen. Teachers are coming to school, they are not safe because they don't know what the child can do to them. So I believe that the policies have been tried to be regulated and redesigned, realigned into current system so we can see what to do. So I believe that, yes, the policies are part, but we can have ways of navigating through the problems.
Nishirin, your take on the policy having a role to play?
Thank you very much, Gabriel. I am not oblivious to where I'm speaking, but today I want to make certain statements that may seem very explosive, but I think that if we do not put our shoulders to the wheel, this problem will persist. First of all, our NGO raised that concern that the right to life is paramount to the right to education. But I think that stakeholders of education in this country, i.e. Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, parents and teachers alike, we are taking this issue of hooliganism or treating it with kid gloves. Why am I saying this? It is something like a broken record that we come talk about issues of students molesting teachers, whether verbal or sometimes physical. We keep talking about this issue and it seems as if we do not want to be able to put practical measures to ensure that this thing is stamped out. I agree with you that corporal punishment was banned in 2017. But the issue is that the alternative discipline approach, as to whether that particular approach is working, the stakeholders are not coming together to say that, okay, when we stamped out corporal punishment and brought this alternative disciplinary approach, what are the successes that we have chalked? I can tell you for a fact that when corporal punishment was stamped out, it is from that particular time that we are having indiscipline acts on the rise. Gabriel, you mentioned that whilst we are all in school, there were indiscipline acts. But because measures were put in place, we didn't see it so much on its higher tendency. Yes, Angel spoke about the issue about Accra High, Christian Methodist. Just last week, I chanced on the video at Kimbu Senior High, where a student was virtually challenging a teacher in class, and it nearly resulted in a battle between the teacher and the student. The teacher was just trying to correct the student to dress properly, and this nearly caused a fight between the two of them. Yes, one of the things I have spoken about several times that I think stakeholders must take very serious is the fact that most of these hooligans in our school are criminals. They are criminals because some of the things these students do are things that threatens life and property. So I've been saying this, and I think stakeholders must take it very, very seriously. Every senior high school, every basic school is in the community. The Interior Ministry must link up with the Education Ministry and ensure that every school is mapped up to a police station. This is not any bad thing. That the moment the school makes a distress call and says that this student is doing ABCD, the thing he or she is doing threatens life and property, the police must go into it seriously. And when the police investigate and sees that it goes against Act 29, that is a Criminal and Other Offences Act, that student must be picked up. Because you see, if you don't take this issue head on, the thing will be like you will take your child to school, the child is going to learn, the child will not feel safe again in that school environment. Angel mentioned that it may be the fact that the child might have left the house for the first time, going to a boarding school, and the child is exposed to this act of criminality, this act of hooliganism. It can change the child's orientation. The child will come back home, and the child will begin to exhibit that violent act. So I think that as a country, as a government over the years, as stakeholders, PTA, parents, and what have you, we have not treated this issue well. What I'm saying is that if you bring any policy or program, you began it in 2017. It is almost 8 years now, and that policy is not working. You said alternative disciplinary approach is not working. As a country, you must sit down to vary it. I'm very glad that this government have been able to bring educational, programs. They have brought this forum. They are sitting down discussing. One of the things they should take very seriously is to look at this approach again. They should look at the fact that you can't tell me you can't repeat a student. You can't tell me student on a promoted wholesale. But these were all measures that brought discipline in the school. When all these things are removed, it brings about a problem, and hooliganism will be on that.
Very well. So let me, Nishirin, just before you go, in a second, share with us. Have you, in your practice, have you had this experience? Have you been attacked by a student, or you know a colleague?
Yes, I know colleagues who students have attacked. Sometimes being verbal, sometimes physical, and it is very disgraceful to the extent that other colleague students will be there, and a student will disrespect a teacher. It can reduce your self-worth, and if you don't take care, you will not even be happy being in the classroom or disciplining students. I told one colleague some time ago that if the stakeholders are not willing to bring policies and programs to ensure that your safety is guaranteed, the only thing, quote and unquote, a sensible teacher will do is that I am protecting myself, personal liberty. I have a family. I'm protecting my salary. So what they will do is that they will watch on, and the bad things happen because they don't want to become victims. So the government, the stakeholders, it will be in their own interest to come to a teacher's aid and ensure, as Angel said, the moment teachers feel threatened, most of them will be forced to defend themselves. And if defending themselves amount to direct and violent confrontation, they will do so. The first thing every human being wants to do is personal safety. And when that thing is no more there, people will go heaven and hell to defend themselves.
Very well. Unfortunately for your colleague who has been attacked, and I had the viral video going around. I think that's the Kimbo story you shared. The other students were laughing. They were so happy that the boy walked out on the teacher and he went. Nicholas, just a second before we go on break, have you also experienced it in your practice, or you know someone?
No, it has not. It has not happened to me. But there are some teachers in my school at a point, I think when I was in Bedum, that some of the students tried that one's maybe verbal assault, not physical. So it happens, and people take advantage. Sometimes if you get a teacher who is not that accommodating and is willing to maybe take it that, oh, this is a child or something, the teacher may also decide to retaliate and it becomes a problem. So yes, it happens. But for me, throughout my life, it didn't happen to me.
We hope that it doesn't happen to any of you, our guests, so that we can get you to talk to you. So viewers, this is the state. We have been discussing student attacks on teachers on the back of the NAGRAT ultimatum to Ghana Education Service to bring up reforms to tackle indiscipline in our schools. Our guests have been Nicholas Taylor, an educationist, Nishirin Appiah-Boidi, an education. Earlier on, NAGRAT President Angel Kabonu joined us to give us his position. The conversation is getting interesting. When we are back, we'll look at remedies and other things that are bothering on the discussion. Still, we'll be right back.
Oh yes, the solution to all your travel needs is here. 𝗟𝗩𝗡 Lodge and Travel Services offers you the opportunity to travel to the following countries: Canada, United States of America, Turkey, Dubai, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Malta, Germany, and other European countries, where skilled workers such as nurses, paramedics, nannies and caregivers, drivers, plumbers, masons, electricians, carpenters, painters, etc. are needed for urgent employment. Alan Cash Lodge and Travel Services can secure your Schengen visas with work permits. Individuals, organizations, churches, schools can contact us for their ticketing and hotel reservation, car rental services, international tour packages, travel consultation, visa assistance, and study abroad packages to all countries. We are located at Mr. Bates Bus Stop, opposite the Calvary Baptist Church at Abaka, Accra, or contact us on these numbers: 0544 27 9525 or 0545 622 672 or 0302 237557. Alan Cash Lodge and Travel Services, your destination, our pride.
Welcome back. This is the state. Today we are looking at student attacks on teachers. It's a growing concern, worrying, where the school environment is no longer safe for the teacher and the student. For the teacher to come out to give the employer ultimatum that if you don't introduce reforms, then we are going to advise ourselves. When your ward is in the school, you should be worried about what happens there, where students can bring guns and students can attack either innocent students or their teachers. It is an issue that is of critical concern to every stakeholder of education. And we have guest Nicholas Taylor, an educationist. We also have Nishirin Apiabuedi, an educationist. And viewers, as the discussion was going on, an educationist too, Minister of the Gospel with the Methodist Church, Reverend Dr. Phyllis Donko, had a thought, and she thinks, Dr. Phyllis Donko thinks that nobody is born a criminal. The fact that we are attributing the BECE intake as one of the reasons couldn't be well premised, because it is a systemic problem. It is the system. If the system is well structured to make sure that every child that is brought to the school is good and should be taught and to develop to become the responsible adult, wouldn't the argument about BEC grades being lowered and then everybody going to school, it's not well placed. Thank you very much for your thought, Reverend Dr. Phyllis Donko. So, gentlemen, let's come back to our discussions for those of you via Zoom and online. Let's look at, I want us to look at some of the existing policies, just like Reverend Dr. Phyllis Donko was attributing. We've had some of them there. They are existing ones, so we're asking what can be added. Briefly, there was the one that now you need to refer to disciplinary committee. There is also the one that negative credentials or testimonials. You can write it in the student's report. First, you could repeat the student and refer to guidance and counseling. All these have been policies that have existed. How effective have they been? Nicholas.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Nicholas, I was asking the existing policies, how effective they have been, because you have to refer to disciplinary committee. You can make the student to weed or clean the compound. How effective are these measures?
Gabriel, currently the policies that we have, the implementation is very weak. Weak in the sense that if it normally talks about the disciplinary aspect of the students and that of the child, of the teacher and that of the child, the teacher will have to be taken through a certain what we call disciplinary procedure. But of course, now the emphasis is on the student to the teacher. So if you look at the student side, when a child has done some of this either violent activity or hurting someone or trying to bring something offensive material in the classroom, the disciplinary committee of the school or the district may sit and the child, what kind of punishment can they give? Maybe some day suspension or internal suspension or something. Some of them are not deterring enough. So they do some of this and they go scot-free with it. So I believe that if we can look at realigning the policies that regulate the use of arms, the use of some of these in the classrooms, it is going to help a lot. Again, if a child does something to a teacher and the child is not given a public reprimand or a public punishment for other students to see that this child did this and this has happened, it gives room for them to continue to do it. So I believe that we should look at publicly reprimanding or punishing such students who do this against teachers, so that others will see it as a deterrent, and that is what we are calling for.
I was tempted to ask that. Some have also argued that it is the conduct of some of the teachers, some of the teachers, the relationship they have with the students.
Yeah, my brother, it's true, Uncle Gabriel. What you are saying is true. There are cases where some teachers have also not comported themselves very well. That one I agree with you. You know, even if a child is becoming violent against a teacher, if you retaliate or you don't comport yourself, you tone down as a teacher, and you go with the same force, certainly there are going to be problems. But some of the teachers, some of them have also not held themselves very well in that kind of public respect or public repute, and therefore they give themselves up for the public and the students to say anything or do anything to them as they want. But it is true, I agree with you that some teachers are not holding themselves very well. But generally, I believe that is not a reason for any child also to hurt or misbehave against any teacher. So yes, what you are saying is right. However, we can have ways of trying to make sure that the students are not given opportunity, to insult or to hurt or to bring any teacher's image into disrepute in that form.
Very well. Nurturing. So a survey that was conducted suggested that most parents and teachers thought that suspension was the most effective one. It suspend the student. But others are, you suspend the student, it affects, it lowers the academic performance. This student can also drop out of school. I'm just linking it to the existing strategies that have been used in making sure we discipline students. Do you think they've been effective?
Gabriel, first of all, I would say that the current discipline actions or acts that we have put in place to ensure that the school becomes a safe haven for teaching and learning is not effective. But before I go into it, I would want to correct a notion that was shared. I admit the concerns that Reverend Doctor has shared, but I think we are not saying the students are criminals, so to speak. The point I made was that some of the actions of some students that we can classify as hooligans, some of those actions are criminal. You mentioned some of them. A student loading a gun, taking it to the classroom, firing this gun, and damaging a colleague student's eye. There is nothing more criminal than this. A student going into the school and having the intention of pelting a stone at a teacher to, hurt that teacher. These are criminal acts. You see, one thing that my colleague and senior, Andrew, raised, that I think maybe Doctor didn't really get it well, is that he was saying that the issue about there is no cut-off point. Every student from the JHS is promoted to the SHS can also create a problem. I believe that every child must have access to education. But let's say, for example, the university. When you complete senior high school, it doesn't mean that all students completing senior high school will have an easy path to the university. So why not also create the Stevens system, where the students will know that you cannot just misbehave in the basic school and just know that you will be given an easy path to the senior high school. Gabriel, I'm telling you for a fact that if you take about 10 students who are academically good and you are looking at those who are in discipline, most of the time, the students who are not academically good, they are rather engaged in discipline act. So the fact of the matter is that if GES and its allied agencies or the ministry, so to speak, they have removed the petition system, they are giving wholesale promotion from Form 1 to Form 2, there is no incentive for students to go and sit down and say that I'm studying. Because if I don't study hard, I will be repeated and my colleagues will move ahead of me. So I think that all these issues were said in the context. But going down to your question, I think suspension is also a means of ensuring that a student is reformed. Yes, the argument can be raised that once you suspend the student and he or she is at home, they will lose contact hours and that will affect them academically. But the fact is that the moment you go against the rule, you don't expect to have the same right as compared to those who are obeying the rules to the letter. I agree that most senior high schools have the DNC coordinator, the guidance and counseling coordinator. But the fact of the matter is that most schools now, most importantly the senior high schools, the punishment mechanism has been taken away from the teachers. It has been given to other group of people. I give this example always, that if you have placed police or a policeman to go and maintain law and order, you have not empowered that policeman to be able to met our sanctions when they need be. You tie the person's hand behind his back, the person becomes more or less like a toothless bulldog. I believe that in going forward, in bringing out reforms, the teachers must be placed at the forefront of discipline. In as much as I agree that measures to be also put in place to check excesses, the fact of the matter is that you place me in a classroom, I have no control to punish any student. They misbehave. The students are aware that the punishment mechanism is not in the hands of the teacher. Then it's more or less that you have placed me there, but the things I can use to work effectively is not there. I also agree with Angel that you see sometimes some people in society that we respect so much are also contributing to this problem. A student will be suspended. You will get a call from a high-profile politician pleading and sometimes using influence that the child must be brought back. A student will be dismissed or a student will be punished for a hooligan act committed. You will see a big man of God, so to speak. Not all of them, I must be honest. Some will just call, just trying to ensure that the student is brought back. You will see a traditional leader who is supposed to be a respectable person, and they will call. So you ask yourself, are these people ensuring that we have a serene environment for teaching and learning, or these people are more or less encouraging that? Okay. So what I would say is that all stakeholders must put their hands to the wheel. And I say that the ban on corporal punishment has done us more harm than good.
Nicholas, let me come to you. Gentlemen, we are in the last embers of our time. Way forward. Nicholas, if you can hear me. Well, if we will work the line and see, I think Nicholas has dropped. Nishrin, then let me get back to you. Way forward.
Gabriel.
Yes.
I would say that the way forward is something the stakeholders know. But me, I feel they are refusing to implement it. Or better still, they are dancing around the issues. First of all, the way forward is to ensure that we implement effective conflict resolution and anger management program. Some students are admit by their makeup, they have anger issues. That is why the GNC is there to manage this for them. So long as students are meeting, they have different mindsets, there will be conflict. So effective conflict management mechanism must be put in place. Secondly, we must encourage students to engage in activities that will take their attention from hooliganism. Nowadays, we see, because of the track system, they hardly engage in sports. They hardly engage in other co-curricular activities. And that places their minds in this hooligan act. The third one is that I'm happy that the PTA has been brought back. Initially, it was PA, Children Association. Teachers must now be made to be at the forefront of ensuring discipline. And also, the next thing you must do is to ensure that the ban that was placed on corporal punishment must be removed. I admit, I said earlier on, some may go the extra mile of abusing this particular thing. But the fact is that if stringent measures is put in place, we will see that when this punishment mechanism is there, teachers will follow to bring out the best in students. The next one too is to ensure that any students that engage in acts of hooliganism, Angel mentioned that, yes, there is a freedom or the right to have education, but the most important right is the right to life. If any student does something that clearly there is an intent to destroy life and property, and there is a dismissal, we must implement that to serve as deterrent. Whereas a student commits a crime or does something against the school rule, act of hooliganism, and that student is still in the school, what is the deterrent measure to other students that if I engage in that, I'll also not be punished?
Very well.
So the fact of the matter is that the punishment mechanism must be implemented. You see, when the school environment becomes a safe haven, teaching and learning goes on, we will get the best out of the student. Teachers will be happy teaching. Because, Gabriel, you know that salaries of teachers is nothing to write home about. And at the same time, the environment becomes unconducive. The moment teachers exhibit lackadaisical attitude, I'm coming to teach, the student upbringing is not my concern because I'm not being involved in upbringing of the students. I can't punish that student. We are going to turn out graduates And students who come out of school, instead of coming out reformed, they will come out as hardened individuals. And that is not what we want.
Very well. And thank you very much. Nishirin, lastly, before I let you go, in 1 second, should Ghana Education Service fail to heed the call for reforms with disciplined students, should teachers arm themselves?
I belong to an association as a teacher. If you ask me, my advice to any teacher, what I'll tell you is that be wise. Don't let any student name you. Don't let any student ensure that you being the breadwinner, your family will suffer because of a student. I will not say they should arm themselves. Every teacher worth his salt knows what to do. Do things that your family will be proud of you. Don't do anything that will allow any student to name you, and your family will be in disarray. What I'll tell them is that students will open their eyes. NAGRAT, your leader has told you something. They have given government ultimatum. So, if government see their own concern, teachers respectfully.
So you subscribe to the right to life having preeminence over right to education.
Gabriel, you are in the studio. When you feel that coming to the studio, someone will kill you there, but you still want to come to the studio, you know what to do. Because when you die, Gabriel, nothing will go on again. I don't want to die as a teacher. So I'll tell them, I won't say go and arm yourself, but I'll tell them to be wise. Teachers will understand.
Very well, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. That was Nishirin Apia Buidi, an educationist. We also had Nicholas Taylor, an educationist. And earlier on, we had the president of NAGRAT, Angel Kabono, telling us their positions on the call for Ghana Education Service to come up with reforms that will combat indiscipline in our schools. So we have had this great gentleman. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for making time to be with us. Thank you, viewers, as always, for being with us. And we hope the conversation has just started. Make sure that safety is in our schools. Students protected, teachers protected, so that we will churn out the right people, responsible adults, to make sure Ghana grows. It is weekend. Make sure you drink enough water. Stay rested. I am Gabriel Nii Otu Ankrah. We are back on the screens on Monday. Goodbye.